Okay, everybody, we're going to talk about some numbers right now. We're looking at the 2021 Comic-Con ICV2 report. We're looking at North American comic sales across time, and there was a huge jump between 2020 and 2021, where the combined print and digital download sales in 2020 was 1.28 billion, jumped up to a whopping 2.075 billion in 2021. Up 70% versus 2019, 62%, I believe, from last year. Yeah, from 2020. They're saying it's the industry's biggest year event in dollar terms, even adjusted for inflation. And included with that, they say like graphic novels exploded, with manga having an enormous year. Traditional comics also rose dramatically, surpassing 2019's pre-pandemic level. Digital grew less, but still far ahead of 2019.
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, publishing in general did very well. But I think a lot of people came back to comics or got into comics for the first time because they had the time and they weren't going anywhere. So yeah, 2021 was nuts.
Yeah, that growth of graphic novels is crazy when you compare it to 2020. Manga dominating.
Yes, and again, I was just at ALA last week. A lot of librarians really looking to get graphic novels in their collections. Especially, I talked to a lot of school librarians or like children's librarians. They want to get graphic novels. They want to get manga. They want manga that's like good for certain age groups. It's pretty big, and I think a lot more people. I mean, manga has been big in the past. This is not like, but this is huge compared to the numbers from the aughts, right? The early aughts. It's very gratifying to see that, this kind of niche category, this niche subset of reading of comics is so, can make it in the West.
Is this where I put in my like snarky comment about thanks to manga?
Manga rules, comics drew.
This is where we all adjust our glasses.
I mean, like, it was
Comics
increased
are
for
up too.
comics. Yeah, they're up too.
Yes, no, everything is up. Everything is up.
I think the interesting thing here to look for North America is like print still like is like top dog compared to
Yes.
Japan.
Yes.
A while back, we were talking about the Japanese sales numbers and how like the boom of digital sales in Japan helped revitalize that like industry.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever I talk to people about books, a lot of them say they still prefer to read print. We read digital for the podcast, but I do read a lot of print on my own time. And like I was at the dentist and he was asking me what I did for work, and I said I worked in publishing, and he was like, "Oh, print books, that's the way. I like print books better. I don't want a Kindle. I don't want this, that. I want, and newspapers too. I want a newspaper in print." And I'm like, I don't disagree, but also like this is an important growth part of the industry.
With your dentist Naoki Kurosawa.
No, he's a very, I actually like him a lot. He's a pretty quiet, mild-mannered, like, Middle Eastern man. But you get him talking about books, man, and he was suddenly very passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Americans still like their physical media, but also I would assume it helps that in Japan there's just a lot more avenues for like digital.
Yes. Yeah, I think their digital infrastructure is still better than ours.
Yeah, all the major publishers there have their own like online manga subscription services or like web readers and all those things, especially for smartphones. Of course, we saw pushback from like veteran manga artists as well. But even those are changing.
Though.
Yeah, they're caving. Naoki Kurosawa gone digital. Hajime no Ippo from George Morikawa went digital. Yeah, so addressing their concerns mostly about the quality of like the 2-page spreads, making sure everything matches up and looks really good. But yeah, I don't want to digress too far from these sales numbers here in North America. It's like a crazy increase, like over 50% is crazy within a year. Are we going to assume that the trend is just going to continue to boom this year as well in 2022, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to depend on whether people find that they can do outside hobbies now. instead of just staying home and reading. I think a lot more people are, leaving their homes than were in 2021. I mean, as dark as this sounds, I really think the pandemic helped publishing a lot in a weird way. Helped comics a lot. But I do think that overall more people are reading. And that's the thing that like numbers like this really, I mean, I guess numbers like this just mean that more people are buying comics, not necessarily that they're reading comics. But it warms my heart to know people are buying and reading books.
Specifically manga.
Specifically manga, of course. That's my but in general terms, like it's nice to know that even when things really suck, at least people are still reading books.
Oh yeah.
One thing, and this is just my theorizing, one advantage that manga has, I think when there's a bunch of mainstream coverage of something like Your Name or something like the Demon Slayer film that did gangbusters in Japan and also in America, that does actually translate to some manga interest sometimes.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Which is not the case with comics. Like,
no.
Marvel, when it comes out, does not move any needles with any comics.
No. And part of that is, I bitch about this all the time, but Marvel, DC, they're not always great at realizing that people are going to want the specific comics that their movies are based on. I think they're getting better about it now. It's been a while since I worked in a comic shop, but in a lot of cases with manga, anime come out, and anime is very popular right now and very accessible. There are not only, you can watch it on Crunchyroll and Funimation, whatever, you can watch it on Netflix, you can watch it on HBO, you can watch it on some, a streaming service that's not anime specific. And then once you have somebody who gets into that anime, suddenly they go looking for it and discover there's more content. And yeah, anime adaptations of manga do help sales for sure. I do think it makes a difference, and that's why Spy Family anime just came out. Spy Family's been out for a while, but the manga's selling better than it was before, for sure. And you hear a lot more buzz about it, and it's great, and people should be reading it and watching it as well. I'm still watching it, and it's still great.
Yep, it's great news for people in the industry, great news for us as fans of manga, because more money means more licensing.
And more weird licenses.
Yes.
That we were not expecting.
Mm-hmm. So keep that money rolling, buy your mangoes. It helps everybody.